Hi everyone, welcome to the video solutions for QA for slot 1 CAT 23. Now I'm sure everybody's been talking about this a lot, that quant in CAT suddenly got very difficult and each of the slots were very difficult. There's a lot of algebra. We completely agree to you that things have got difficult. There was a lot of algebra and some of the algebra was slightly weird also. Students were not prepared for such algebra. There was a question on circle, which also students were not prepared for. There were many such things, but we had to make best use of whatever we knew and try and get the best score. Hope the video solutions helps you and helps you understand your error, and for the others who are looking at for it next year, helps them also. So let's have a look at the first question. So the first question definitely was a difficult question of algebra, but now there's a big but. This is exactly same. It's not even similar. It's exactly same from a CAT 2018 question. You can actually Google it. Only thing, instead of X, they had given U, and instead of Y, they had given V. And they had asked something different. In fact, this made the question slightly easier of what they've asked now. But the method to solve the question remained exactly same. And only because of that, I thought this question should have been one of those questions which are done. Now, a student who's preparing for CAT 23 ideally should have solved the full CAT 2018 paper, all the slots, and hence should have definitely got this question. Let's have a look at how we go about this. We bring this whole thing on the left-hand side after expanding. So we'll get x square. On this side, it's minus 4xy. It will come on this side, become plus 4xy. And minus 4y square will become plus 4y square plus x minus 2y minus 1 the whole square is equal to 0. Now, what does this become? If you look very carefully, this is also a perfect square. It is x plus 2y the whole square. So this will become x plus 2y the whole square plus x minus 2y minus 1 the whole square is equal to 0. Now, what are these? These are two squares and they are real numbers. Now, sum of two squares is 0, which means if a square plus b square is 0 and if a and b are real, the only choice you have is that a and b both are 0. Nothing else is possible, right? Which means x plus 2y is 0 and x minus 2y minus 1 is 0. We wanted to find x minus 2y, therefore x minus 2y is equal to 1, which is the third option. They could ask you anything related with this in x and y. Means they could ask you what is 5x plus 3y or whatever. You have two equations, you could have solved them simultaneously, got the values of x and y and then found this. But in this particular case, we knew only x minus 2y is 1 directly from here. Now, as I said, if you had done this question in your practice and had a chance of going through the CAT 2018 paper and done it, then you should have got this question. Otherwise, I thought it was a difficult question and maybe very difficult to think of that I had to exactly get this on the left-hand side. And may not expand this bracket, because once you start expanding this bracket, it is very difficult to again get it back to two perfect squares. So if somebody had not expanded this and brought it on the left-hand side, still would have thought of it. Otherwise, I thought it was a difficult question. Let's have a look at the next question. Now, the next question, according to me, was not very difficult. This I would not put it as a category C or something. This could still be a category B. Let n be the least positive integer such that 168 is a factor of 1134 raised to n. Now, let's try and factorize them. We want basically one of them to go into the other one. So 1134, the factors of 1134 are what? So this goes in 2 5s are 2 6s are 2 7s are 7 8s are 7 1s are, and 81 we know is 3 raised to 4. So basically 1134 is 2 into 7 into 3 raised to 4. 168 we should know is 24 7s are. So 168 is 2 into 2 into 2 into 3 into 7. Now let's read only for the first part. Let's think only of this part. Let's try and get the value of n. Don't even bother about the second part now, because looking at too many things, you will get nervous. Now, if I look only at the first part, I want 168 to be a factor of this. Basically, 1134 raised to n. So 1134 raised to n has to be completely divisible by 168. Now you can see that the 3 and the 7 easily cut out. But the 2's don't cut out. I need 3 2's and I have only 1 2 in 1134. Which means if I write 1134 3 times, I'll get 3 2's and the 3 2's will be able to cut out. Therefore, n becomes 3. I will need to write 1134 minimum 3 times. I can write it more times also. But they've asked for least positive value. And hence, the least positive value for n becomes 3. Without n being 3, you will never get 3 2's and the 3 2's of 168 will not cut out, right? So first part is done where I got n as 3. Now let's look at the second part separately. If m is a least positive integer, that's so that 1134 raised to n is a factor of 168 raised to m. So now I need 168 raised to m to be divisible by 1134 raised to n. Now n I already know from the previous part is 3. So think of it like a new question. I want 168 raised to m to be divisible by 1134 raised to n. Now we know 168 is 2 cube into 3 into 7 raised to m has to be divisible by 1134 raised to 3. Now 1134 has only 1 2, so 2 cube into it has 1 7, so 7 cube, no problem there, right? But the 3 is a problem. There were 4 3's in 1134, so 3 in raised to 3 there will be 12 3's. Now simple, forget 2 and 3, 2 and 7 are still less. To cut these 12 3's over here with this 3 raised to m, I'll need m to be 12. So if basically this whole thing will come 12 times, I'll get 12 3's and they'll cut. And when they'll cut 12 times, my 7 and 2 will easily cut. So no worries on that side. So therefore m becomes 12. And hence my minimum value for m plus n will become 15, which is the answer, which is my second option. So again, not very difficult, but not very simple also. No ways is it A, but I would still love to, for this paper and the difficulty level of this paper, I would like to put this as a level B question. I'm sure some of you all will argue and say, no sir, it was a level C, but these are the things which you should have been able to do in this test. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is root of 5x plus 9 plus root of 5x minus 9 is equal to 3 bracket 2 plus root 2, and they've asked us for root of 10x plus 9. So we'll worry about what they've asked a little bit later. Let's first try and just see what we can do to the right hand side. So if I leave the left hand side as it is, 5x plus 9 plus root of 5x minus 9. If I open the right hand side up, it becomes 6 plus 3 root 2. Write both of them as pure surds, in short, because this is also a pure surd. So what is 6? 6 is nothing but root 36. So if I write this, it will become root of 5x plus 9 plus root of 5x minus 9 is root of 36, while the 3 goes inside in this case. So it will become 3 squared. So this becomes root of 18. Now, if you compare the left hand side and right hand side, if you notice the difference between these two terms is 18 and the difference between these two terms is also 18, which means and 5x plus 9 plus 5x minus 9, if I subtract them, it's a constant. So in short, because the difference is exactly same, 18, 18, I can directly take 5x plus 9 is equal to 36 and 5x minus 9 is equal to 18. Very straightforward. You got two equations, nothing much to do after this. Just add them up. So you get 10x. 10x is equal to 54. Don't even find x because you want to find root of 10x plus 9. So root of 10x. 10x is 54. 54 plus 9 is 63. Root of 63. 63 is 9 sevens are. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 root 7. Now this is which gives you the third option, 3 root 7, the third option. Now this is one approach, definitely a very, very straightforward approach. But when I realized I was talking to a lot of people were not able to think of this approach. Why I had to write this as 36 and that to write this as root 18 and then just compare the left hand side and right hand side. We're not able to think of it. So do we have another approach? Is there a kind of a jugadu approach which you could do and still get the answer? In the other approach, I am completely making use of options. So how am I doing it? Basically, I'm saying that I want to find root of 10x plus 9, which is one of the options. So obviously, I will more or less square each of the options or just take it step by step. Let's assume the first option is correct. So root of 10x plus 9, if it is 4 root 5, what is, so basically I will reach 5x plus 9 plus 5x minus 9 and try and see whether the left hand side and right hand side comes same. So 10x plus 9, if I take squares on both sides, this will become 16 5s are 80, which means 10x becomes 71. And since 10x becomes 71 and I want to find 5x plus 9, 5x will be a decimal, plus 9 will still be a decimal, doesn't look like the left hand side and right hand side will come same. Well, if I don't get other options, I might still check. So basically after this, you would have to check for 5x and 5x plus 9 and 5x minus 9. This is what I will do for each of the options. Yes, it might take a little bit longer than the previous method, obviously, but the whole idea is that, if you're not able to think of the solution, this is one more approach you could do. Now, what if I take to 3 root 31? The same thing as 3 root 31. So 3 square is 9, 31 9s are. 31 9s will be 279, right? 31 9s will be 279. Now 279 minus 9, that will become 270. So I've got 10x as 270, which looks like a pretty decent number. So 5x becomes 135, which is also not bad. 5x plus 9 becomes 144, square root of which is 12, which also pretty much looks decent. And 5x minus 9 will give you what? So 135 minus 9 is 126. So basically, if I am looking at the square root of this plus square root of this, I should get root 144 plus root 126. Now, I can more or less see that this is not my exact answer because my right hand side is 6 plus 3 root 2. 6 plus 3 root 2. How much is approximately 3 root 2? 1.4 into 3, 4.2. 4.2 plus 6 is approximately 10.2. This is much more than that, right? So hence, that's not my answer. Third option, 3 root 7. Now, if I take square of 3 roots, it will become 9 7s are 63. So 10x plus 9 is 63. So 10x is 63 minus 9, which is 54. So 5x is 27. 5x plus 9 is 36. And 5x minus 9 will be 18. And I exactly get what I was looking for. Root 36 plus root 18. That is 6 plus 3 root 2. And this is what we were exactly looking for. Now, as I said earlier also, maybe this method is not the perfect method to do, and hence the first method also was there. But I don't mind this approach also giving you the third option. Next question. Question on logs. Now, if you've seen me before and heard me before, I've always been talking about do logs very well. Question on logs are not very difficult. And same thing happened over here. For a test of this level, this question was a pretty straightforward one. Let's look at this. Just you need to know one property. Convert logs to indices, indices to logs. So what will we get if I convert this one? I'll get x square plus 12 is x raised to 4. If I take the 3 on top, what do I get? I'll get x cube. So I'll get y is equal to x cube, right? So there are two parts. I've got y is equal to x cube and I've got this equation, two equations, equation 1 and equation 2, from which I need to find x and y. Now, they have told us they are positive real numbers. Let's start with this. This will become a quadratic. X raised to 4 minus x square plus 12 is 0. You can say let x square is equal to a. So you've got a square minus a plus 12 is 0. Factors minus 4 and plus 3. So a minus 4 and a plus 3 is 0. A is 4 or a is minus 3. Negative value will discard it because anyway perfect square cannot be negative. A was x square. So x square is 4. X could be plus or minus 2. But since they've said only positive, therefore I will take x only as 2. So I've got x as 2. Now if I get x as 2, what is y? Y is x cube. So y is 2 cube. Therefore y is 8. They've asked for x plus y. So x plus y becomes 10, which is the third option. According to me, again at the level of this test, this is definitely a category A. You have to be able to do such questions. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question looks like a pretty difficult question from cubic equations and quadratic equations. So we have a cubic equation x cube plus 2r plus 1x square plus 4r minus 1x plus 2, where minus 2 is one of the roots. So every cubic equation has three roots, say alpha, beta and gamma. Let's assume gamma is minus 2. So alpha and beta are still missing. So there are two roots, alpha, beta and minus 2. If the other two roots are real, then the minimum possible non-negative integer for r is what? So we want to find the minimum possible value of r so that the other two roots are real. Now I have to give alpha, beta real. Now let's see how do I go about it. When I know that roots for only two equations, that is for a quadratic, are real, delta is greater than 0, greater than equal to 0, I want to somehow make use of that. So what I did was I used the properties of a cubic equation. A cubic equation is ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d is equal to 0, where sum of the roots is minus b by a. So which means alpha plus beta plus minus 2 is minus b. 2r plus 1 is b. So minus b is 2 minus 2r minus 1 upon a, which is 1. So what is alpha plus beta? I got alpha plus beta is minus 2r plus 1. Okay, that is my alpha plus beta. Just leave it over here. And what else do we know? We know alpha beta. What is alpha beta? Alpha into beta into gamma will be minus d upon a. That in this case will be minus 2 upon 1 minus 2. Minus 2 cut. So we've got alpha beta as 1. I have these two equations. I will form an equation in terms of only beta or only alpha. I'll get more or less the same equation. If I write alpha as 1 upon beta, that means instead of alpha over here, I can write 1 upon beta. So I've got 1 upon beta plus beta, negative common, bracket 2r minus 1. Let's continue. Take LCM. What will I get? I'll get beta square plus 1 is equal to negative common 2r minus 1 into beta. Now bring this whole thing on this side, left side. So beta square plus 2r minus 1 into beta plus 1 is 0. So this is my quadratic equation for beta. Now I know beta is real, which means delta has to be greater than or equal to 0. So delta has to be greater than or equal to 0. So b square minus 4ac has to be greater than or equal to 0. What is b square? 2r minus 1 the whole square. Minus 4ac in this case will be minus 4 greater than or equal to 0. 2r minus 1 greater than or equal to 4. Whenever there is an inequality and you take square root, and especially when there is a greater than, the two solutions you will get 2r minus 1 is greater than or equal to 2, or 2r minus 1 is less than or equal to minus 2. Here I will get a negative value. They have said non-negative integer. So I don't want this one. I can take this one, 2r minus 1 greater than or equal to 2. So I'll get 2r greater than or equal to 3, r greater than or equal to 3 by 2, 1.5. So r has to be greater than 3 by 2. On a positive side, I'll get only one answer, r greater than 3 by 2. So all values greater than 3 by 2 will satisfy, greater than or equal to 3 by 2 will satisfy. I want a non-negative integral value and minimum possible value. So the minimum possible value for r will be 2 and the final answer for this question will be 2. So definitely a difficult question. No way is this is a question which I would be able to think of in an exam scenario, and hence this is definitely a level C. Let's try and see whether we can get one more approach for this question. The other approach which I thought for this question was, actually this is a cubic equation, right? I have a cubic equation. And I know minus 2 is one of the roots, which means x plus 2 divides it. When I divide with x plus 2, I get a remainder 0. So let's do the division. Now over here, somebody could have done the long division method. Somebody could have done synthetic division. Because I prefer synthetic division, I'm doing synthetic division. How do you do synthetic division? What is the coefficient of x cube? 1. Then I have a 2r plus 1, a 4r minus 1 and a 2. And you're dividing by x plus 2. So you get a minus 2 over here. 1 comes down as it is. 1 into minus 2 is minus 2. Add 2r plus 1 minus 2 is 2r minus 1. Multiply with minus 2, you get negative 4r plus 2. 4r cut, minus 1 plus 2 is plus 1. 1 into minus 2 is minus 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So your quotient or the quadratic equation which you want will be 1x square plus 2r minus 1x plus 1 is 0. If you notice, this is the exact same equation we got from the earlier approach also. So this also turned out pretty easy, and the remaining method is exactly same. This equation, the roots have to be real, so delta has to be greater than or equal to 0. So b square minus 4ac greater than or equal to 0. 2r minus 1 the whole square greater than or equal to 4. So 2r minus 1 less than or equal to minus 2, or 2r minus 1 greater than or equal to 2. And therefore you get 2r greater than or equal to 3, r greater than or equal to 3 by 2. And therefore the minimum non-negative value of r would be r is equal to 2. So a pretty interesting question, definitely difficult from a CAT level perspective. We haven't solved, students when they were preparing for CAT, they don't solve too many cubic equations, especially with variables and everything like 2r plus 1 and all. And hence this is a definitely level C question, would have left it in an exam scenario. Let's have a look at the next question. Not again a very difficult question. Should have got this. Number of integral solutions for this equation. There's a mod which makes life slightly difficult. But even if you had done a very basic approach of taking one's mod as positive x and one's as negative x, would not have mattered too much. So let's take the first case where you take it as positive x. So you'll get 2x into x square plus 1 is 5x square. So you get 2x cube minus 5x square plus 2x is equal to 0. X common, 2x square minus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. So you have one answer directly, x is equal to 0. So I'm just putting my list down. X is 0 is one of the answer, integral solution. And this will be split up as 2x square minus 4x minus 1x plus 2. Right? 2x common, x minus 2 minus 1 common, x minus 2. And you get one answer, x is equal to 2 or x is equal to half. You have to speed up your calculations. When you reach this step, you should be able to do this much faster. X is 2, x is half. I can't take half because they said integer. So I've got one more answer, x is 2. So I already got two answers. Next time I just need to open up mod x as minus x. So I'll get 2 into minus x, that is negative 2x into x square plus 1 is 5x square. 0 is equal to 2x cube plus 5x square plus 2x, right? We've taken everything on the other side. So you should realize that same solving will occur. You will take a x common, you get 2x square plus 5x plus 2, which means you'll get x is 0, which will be the common answer. And the other two answers you'll get for this will be x is minus 2 or x is minus half. Since the integral was asked, this will again not come. And x is minus 2 will be one more integral answer, and hence there are 3 solutions for this. Now, a slight shortcut could be possible over here. I'll explain that also. But first, let's understand this one more time, that what I've done is just opened once x as positive x and once x as negative x. That's the only thing I've done. And then simply solving the quadratic equation, not too much. So a lot of people, just look at the mod and get confused. There's nothing much to think about. Well, what you could have done smartly, if you were slightly wanted to save some time, let me just explain one more approach to you, is that when I take x square, do you agree that x square and mod x square is the same thing? Because x square cannot be negative and mod x square also cannot be negative. So hence, I just took this equation as 2 mod x bracket mod x square plus 1 is equal to 5 mod x square. What was the advantage of doing this? I said let mod x be a. And I had to solve the equation only one time. So I took 2a into a square plus 1 is equal to 5a square. And then just solve this normally. You will get what? If you solve this, you will get a is equal to some value. So for example, if you still want 2a cube minus 5a square plus 2a is 0. So 1 you will get a is 0 and 1 you will get a is equal to, I think what, 2 and a is equal to half or something like that, right? Now, but when you solve this, mod a is, mod x is a, right? So mod x is 2, therefore x will be positive and negative 2. So you'll get two answers here and one more answer over here. and therefore you get 3 answers. So this would have just saved that time to think 2 times, but very frankly, even if you did not think of this, no big deal. You could have just done normally, open a mod x as x and minus x and get the answer pretty easily. So according to me, this has to become a level B question for this type of test. Maybe an even an A for some of y'all, but definitely should not have been a C. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question is the equation from quadratic equation. So one more algebra question. Maybe not too difficult, again a B or a C, depending on how well you are comfortable with such questions. Alpha and beta are the roots of this quadratic equation. So what do we know? What are the sum of the roots? Sum of the roots is minus B upon A. So minus of minus 6 is 6, 6 upon 2 is 3. So sum of the roots is 3. And product of the roots is C upon A. So K upon 2. So we got this much. Alpha plus beta is 3 and alpha beta is K upon 2. Right? Now, and they have said that alpha plus beta and alpha beta are the distinct roots of this particular equation. So again, use the same thing. What will happen if I take the sum of the roots? It will become alpha plus beta plus alpha beta is equal to negative P upon 1, that is negative P. But I know alpha plus beta is 3 plus K upon 2 is negative P. So I got one equation with K and P in it. Now, let's use the product. What will be the product? Alpha plus beta into alpha beta is C upon A, which is also P. Now, what is alpha plus beta? 3 into K upon 2 is P. So I got one more equation with, this is my second equation with K and P. Ideally, now I should be able to easily solve these two equations and get the value of K and P. So, if you look very carefully, one of them is minus P and the other is P. So, just put the value of P. Now, put P as 3K upon 2. So, 3 plus K upon 2. Instead of P, let's write this. Don't forget the minus sign. Negative 3K upon 2. Take LCM. 6 plus K upon 2 is equal to negative 3K upon 2. 2 cut. 4K is equal to minus 6. K is equal to negative 6 upon 4, which is negative 3 upon 2. I got K. Let's put it over here. So what is P? 3 upon 2 into K, which is also again negative 3 upon 2. So P became negative 9 upon 4. I got my values of K and P. What did I want? I wanted the value of 8K minus 8P. What is 8K? 8 into negative 3 upon 2 minus 8 into negative 9 upon 4. 2 ones are 2 fours are, that is negative 12. 4 ones are 4 twos are, that is positive 18, giving me a final answer of 6. Now this is something which you should just have gone step by step, done the two things, you get two equations and you should be able to solve it. After solving, I even realized maybe this could have been an A also for a lot of students, maybe a B, but I don't think so. It should have been a C. Let's have a look at the next question. Lot of people would have heaved a sigh of relief when they thought that arithmetic has started and read this question and thought, oh, it's a very difficult one. But I thought this was one of the easiest questions of this test. Brishti went on an 8-hour trip in a car. Before the trip, the car had traveled a total of X kilometers. Till then, where X is a whole number and is a palindromic number. You should know what a palindrome is. You've done enough of verbal, but they've also explained that to you. At the end of the trip, the car had traveled at 26862. So 26862 is what is there at the end. So this is the final answer. Okay. Which coincidentally also is a palindrome, but doesn't matter. This number again being palindromic. If Vrishti never drove at more than 110 kilometers per hour, then the greatest possible average speed at which she drove. She has driven for 8 hours and we want to find the greatest possible average speed. And there are options. Just use options. And let's start with the greatest option, 110. Let's assume she traveled 110 for 8 hours. So 880 kilometers she has traveled. If this is the final answer, 26862, that means X plus 880. X was the original number. Plus 880 is 26862. So X is this minus 880. 2 minus 0, 2. 16 minus 8, 8. 9, 5, 2. Is this a palindrome? No, it is not a palindrome. So 110 is not my answer. Start with 100. 100 for 8 hours, 800. 26862 minus 800. 26062. It is a palindrome. And since they've asked me for the greatest answer, I don't even care whether these two give me an answer. But the greatest answer is definitely 100. I didn't even check with the last two give me an answer. And hence this I thought was a definite level A question. Should have got this easily. Let's have a look at the next question. Lot of students would have thought that they would do clocks and calendars after CAT, maybe for SNAP and MAT, and had not practiced clocks very carefully. And if they had not done that, missed the sitter. Very, very straightforward question. The minor angle between the hour hand and the minute hand of a clock was observed at 8:48 a.m. So at 8:48, they observed the minor angle. The minimum duration in minutes after 8:48 with the angle increased by 50%. So let's first find out what was the minor angle at 8:48. That's the first part of the question. How to find out the angle at 8:48. So before that, you always get to 8 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, what is the angle I have? You should know at 8 o'clock, the angle is 240 degree between the minute hand and the hour hand, right? At 8 o'clock, the angle between the minute and the hour hand is 240 degrees. Now, what will happen in 48 minutes? 1 minute, the hour hand gains 11/2 degrees over the minute hand gains 11/2 degrees over the hour hand. I'll repeat. In 1 minute, this is a concept. You needed to know the concept. Here, I'm not going to sit and explain the concept to you. In 1 minute, the minute hand gains 11/2 degrees over the hour hand. So in 48 minutes, it will gain how much? So it will be 48 into 11/2. 2 ones are 2 24s are, which means it will gain 264 degrees. 264 degrees, which means it will go ahead. Obviously at 8:48, anyway, I know that the minute hand will be ahead of the hour hand. So which means I will get something like this. The hour hand will be over here and the minute hand also would have gone a little bit ahead, right? So something like this. I don't care what this angle was, or in fact, I can easily get this angle. It was 240 behind and now it has gained 264. Therefore, the minor angle will be 24 degrees. Now, it wants to go 50% ahead. 50% ahead, which means it wants to go 12 degrees ahead. What is the concept we know? 1 minute, it goes ahead by 11/2 degrees. So to go 12 degrees ahead, how many minutes will it require? Why 12? 50% of 24. So it will be 12 into 1 divided by 11/2, that is multiply by 2 by 11, which becomes 24 by 11 minutes. Options were there. First option is your answer. Now, again, this is what happens. You did not sit and revise clocks and calendars thinking that clocks and calendars is not asked in CAT. I should not revise it and miss the sitter of a question. It was very, very straightforward. Level A question because it's a clocks question and uses basic concepts. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question talks about a mixture P is formed by removing a certain amount of coffee from a coffee jar and replacing the same amount with cocoa powder. The same amount is again removed from the mixture P and replaced with the same amount of cocoa powder to form a new mixture Q. So 2 times the process is done. If the ratio of coffee and cocoa at the end is 16:9, then the ratio of cocoa in the mixture to P, in mixture P and that in Q is how much? We'll come to what they've asked later. Before, let me just get the concept of the question clear. Is it nothing but the wine left formula? There's amount of wine from which some amount of wine is removed, water is added. Again, the same amount is removed, water is added, and the process is done 2 times. And at the end, what we are left with, what was the formula? Wine left upon total is x minus y upon x, the whole raised to n. This is the property we know. Now, so we don't know how much was there initially. Let's assume x was there initially and y is removed upon x raised to 2. Now, pay attention very carefully. Is the ratio of the coffee and cocoa. So we have what is left is coffee. So that is 16 because we started with coffee upon 25. Right? This is very, very important. X minus y upon x, the whole square 16 upon 25. x minus y upon x is 4 by 5. So cross multiply, what will you get? You will get 5x minus 5y is equal to 4x, and you get x is equal to 5y. X is 5y or y is 1/5 of x, which means 20%. Every time 20% is removed, right? Every time 20% is removed. That means if I start with 100 coffee, after step 1 I'm left with 80 coffee and how much? 20 cocoa. 20% of this is removed, so 16 is removed, which means I've left with 64 and 36. And you can check the 64 is to 36. What is the 64 is to 36? It is same as 16 is to 9, right? So this could have been a different approach also. I'll show you one more approach for this. 64 is to 36 is what we are left. Read the question very carefully. What have they asked for? They've asked for the ratio of cocoa in mixture P. So cocoa in mixture P is 20 and cocoa in mixture Q is 36, which is 4 5s are 4 9s are. Answer is 5 is to 9, which is the fourth option. Again, I thought this was a level A question. Could have easily been done if you knew your concept, basic concept of wine left formula. Yes, maybe what they had asked at the end confused you, and hence some of you all want to call it as a B. Okay, what I could have also done was something like this. Pay attention. After 2 transactions, I have left with 16 is to 9, which means I could start, this is 25. Okay, so 100 makes my calculations easy. So if I just say the total was 100, that means this becomes 64 is to 36. And suppose if I'm starting with 100 and I'm reaching 64 after 2 transactions, you should know 64 is nothing but 8 square, which means 100 into 8 square. That is 0.8 into 0.8, 80% into 80% becomes 64, which means after 1 it was 80 and 20. And this could have been a much better shortcut, no applying of wine left formula, whatever, and you could directly get this. Whichever way, as we said, answer is 5 is to 9, 20 upon 36 is 5 is to 9, fourth option. Let's have a look at the next question. A question from arithmetic using averages. Looked like an easy question, but was not one. Let's have a look. In an examination, the average marks of 4 girls and 6 boys is 24. Each of the girls has the same marks while each of the boys has the same marks. That means all the girls have the same score while all the boys have the same score. Which means my first standard thing should be very easy. Suppose the average for the girls is G and that for the boys is B. Then I could take 4G plus 6B will be 24 into 10, or upon 10 is 24. So 24 into 10, 240. So if I divide this by 2, because it's divisible to make it easy, it will be 2G plus 3B is 120. That's what I've got. Let's read the question further. Each of the girls that we read, if the marks of any girl is at most double the marks of any boy, but not less than the marks of any boy. So what is the range we have? Girls can be double of the boy, or girls can be equal to boy but not less than that, right? So that's the range I have. So I'll have to take 2 of these cases and we'll have to work accordingly. Then the number of possible distinct integers for the answer for 2 girls and 6 boys is what? Total marks for 2 girls and 6 boys. Now let's take one case where I'm saying G is equal to 2B. Now if G is equal to 2B, instead of G if I write 2B, what will I get? I'll get 4B, 2 into 2B, 4B plus 3B, 7B is 120, and therefore B is 120 upon 7, which will become 7, what, 17s are, 7 17s are, 17 1 by 7, right? So, and please read very carefully, they've asked for integral values, right? Now, if, so B is 17 1 by 7, they haven't asked the integral value for the boys. They've asked integral values for the score of 2 girls and 6 boys. Now, in this case, what will 2G plus 6B become? Now, I know G is 2B. I know G is 2B. So, this will become 4B plus 6B, 10B. right? Now, if I don't take this part and I keep it as 120 by 7, what will 10b become? It will become 1200 divided by 7. Let's solve this. 7 ones are 7, 7 sevens are 49, and 7 ones are 7. 171 point something 42, right? This is one range. Let's see the other range which we get from G is equal to B. Now, if I take G is equal to B in this equation, what will I get? Now, I'll get 2B plus 3B. 5B is equal to 120 and B is 24. Now, what have they asked for? Again, 2 girls and 6 boys. In this case, 2 girls and 6 boys will become 8B, not 10B. Just like the earlier part, see here it was 10B, but here will be only 8B because G and B are same. So 2B plus 6B, 8B. If B is 24, what is 8B equal to? 8 into 24. That will be 8 4s are 32, 3, 192. Now, which means my smallest integer for 2 girls and 6 boys, the smallest value will be higher than this. That is 172, and the largest will be 192. I have to go from 172 to 192. I hope nobody made this error. After doing all this also went and marked 20. The answer will be 20 because we are including 172 also and 192 also. So answer for this question will be 21 values. I hope you didn't mark 20. Answer will be 21 values, which is the second option. So difficult question, difficult to think that you had to first take G is equal to 2B, then G is equal to B. And also in both the cases, you get different values for 2G and 6B. And that I thought was a slightly difficult part. Let's have a look at the next question. Would be a straightforward question from percentages for this level of test. Yes, maybe if you were looking at earlier CATs and you would say that this was a level B, but here that was definitely a level A. Geeta sells 2 objects A and B at the same price. So selling price is constant. On the first one, she's making a profit of 20% on object A. On the other, she's making a loss of 10%. Now, when you make a profit of 20%, your selling price is 110% of your cost, 120% of your cost price. And when you're making a loss of 10%, your selling price is 90% of the cost price, which means you needed a number which was divisible by both of these. What is the LCM of 12 and 9? 36. So you could have started by saying the selling price of both the articles was 360 or 36 or even 3,600, doesn't matter. On this, there was a profit of 20%. Go backwards, calculate 20% is 1 by 5. So selling price is 6 by 5. Selling price is 6 by 5 of the cost price. So 360 into 5 by 6 is the CP over here. CP is 300. Okay. Over here, loss is 10%. Do the same thing, 9 by 10. And you should read the cost price as 400. Read the sum further carefully. If she increases the selling price such that the objects A and B are still sold at an equal price, but a profit of 10% is made on object B. So on this object, a profit of 10% is made. That means new selling price becomes 440. 10% of 400 is 40 rupees, so becomes 440. What is the profit made on object A? And they are asking for the nearest value. Cost price was 300, selling price is 440. So for profit will be 140. Profit percentage is 140 upon 300 into 100, which is 140 upon 3. So 3 4s are 12. 3 6s are 18. 46 2/3. Closest to 47, right? Answer is the second option. Should get this level of sums. When your test is difficult, if somebody had just decided, okay, I'm not going to just leave algebra and come to arithmetic, you would have got this question easily. I'm not going to get carried away and say this was a level B. I'm going to say it's a level A. You have to get such questions easily. Let's have a look at the next question. One more easy question from arithmetic. Salary of three friends, Geeta, Sita and Meeta, are initially in the ratio of 5:6:7. So let's assume the salaries of 500, 600 and 700. In the first year, they get salary hikes of 20%, 25% and 20%. So after 1 year, let's see what their salaries were. 20%, 20% is 1 by 5. So this will become 100 more, so it will become 600. 25%, 1 by 4, so 150, so it will become 750. 20% of 700 is 140, so this will become 840. In the second year, Sita and Meeta, that is the first and the last. This is Sita, Geeta, Meeta. Sita and Meeta got heights of 40 and 25%. 40% is 240. So after 2 years, this becomes 840. While Meeta got a hike of 25%, 1 by 4. So 210 extra. 840 plus 210 is 1050. And the salary of Geeta becomes equal to the mean salary of the three friends. Now, let's take this salary becomes X. So what is X? X is the mean, arithmetic mean of the three. So if you know the property well, you would have got this X much faster. Let's assume you didn't know. So what is X? X is nothing but 840 plus X plus 1050 upon 3. Even if we did this, it doesn't take too much time. 3x minus x, 2x is the sum of these two. That will become 1050 plus 1840. That will be 1890. Half of that will be 945. So x becomes 945. So this salary of Geeta becomes 945. So from 750 to 945 is an increase of how much? 195. We want to find the percentage increase. So percentage increase in salary for Geeta will be 195 upon 750 into 100. 0 cut. 5 15s are 5 2s are. 15 1s are 15. 4 15 3s are. 13 2s are 26%. Pretty doable. Should have got this. I was talking about a shortcut over here. You should have realized this 945 much faster. If Geeta's salary is the arithmetic mean of all three, which means Geeta's salary is only the arithmetic mean of the other two also. So you could have just taken that Geeta's salary is the arithmetic of mean of these two, and that automatically will also get you answer as 945, which anyway you got the same thing at the end. 2x is 1890. That is the sum of these two. Again, according to me, a level A question. This you should have got in the test. Let's have a look at the next question. The amount of job that A, S and K can individually do in a day are in HP. So A, S and K, the work done is in HP. Let's just write that down. Work is in harmonic progression. Now what is harmonic progression? In fact, you just needed to know this part well for this question. The work is in harmonic progression. Harmonic progression, if suppose there's a series in arithmetic progression, their reciprocal is always a harmonic progression. Just for example, suppose if 4, 7 and 10 is a AP, then 1 upon 4, 1 upon 7 and 1 upon 10 becomes a HP. So if work is in harmonic progression, then time taken will be in arithmetic progression. This was the important part. Once you understood this, I thought the question was going to be very simple. Let's pay attention. Now, Kamal takes twice as much time as Amal to do the same amount of job. There was Amal, Sunil and Kamal. Kamal takes twice as much as time as Amal. So suppose if Amal takes 1 day, Kamal takes 2 days. This is time, right? But these three are supposed to be in AP. So if you want, you could take 2, 4, so you could fit 3 in the middle, or you could keep 1.5. Anyway, if I would have reached 1, 1.5 and 2 for time, this is time, I would have immediately made this 2, 3 and 4. Because anyway, these are assumed values, right? So if time taken is 2, 3, 4, therefore work done will be 1 upon 2, 1 upon 3 and 1 upon 4. Which if I multiply by 12, the ratio of the work done will become 6:4:3. Very important. The ratio of the work done becomes 6:4:3. And now the remaining part of the question was a very standard question. So suppose if A is doing 6 units, B is doing 4 units, and C is doing 3 units. So if A and S work for 4 days and 9 days respectively, K will have to work for 16 days to finish the work. So what is the total work? A works for 4 days. So 4 into 6. Then S works for 9 days. So 9 into 4. While K works for 16 days. 16 into 3. This is the total work. I hope you don't actually solve it and find that, not that the calculations are very difficult. 24 plus 36 plus 48. It was not going to be very difficult. But still not doing it. Let's see what have they asked for. Then the number of days taken by S to finish the work. So S will take how many days? This whole thing, that is 24 plus 36 plus 48. Divide by 4. Instead of adding and dividing, I can divide each of them individually. So I'll get 6 plus 9 plus 12. That is 15 plus 12. 27 days are taken by Sunil. Not an easy question, mainly because of two things. One is this harmonic progression. That makes you have to understand that time taken becomes arithmetic progression. Also, A and K, this double thing was very important. You had to fit S in between. That was very important. So once you got that, the remaining second part of the question was very straightforward. But I would not put this as an easy question, and I would definitely consider it as a difficult question to think in a test scenario. And this was the problem more with this slot, that questions which were supposed to be from easier topics like time and work actually become a difficult question. Let's have a look at the next question. Anil has invested 22,000 for 6 years in a certain scheme with 4% interest per annum compounded half yearly. 4% per annum compounded half yearly. That means 2% for 12 terms. Sunil has invested the same amount, same scheme for 5 years. That means 2% for 10 terms. And then reinvest the entire amount received at the end of 5 years for 1 year at 10% simple interest. So last 1 year, what he does is he puts it at 10% simple interest. Now that whether it is simple interest or compound interest doesn't matter because it is for 1 year, right? If the amount received by both at the end of the 6 years is same, what is the total investment made by Sunil? So we want to find his principal. The principal over here is 22,000. Now, again, maybe when you're thinking of the first time looking at a question like this, maybe I've not read this kind of question, would have found it slightly difficult. But logically, what is it? The amount was same. What is amount for Anil? It will be 22,000 into 1 plus 2 upon 100 raised to 12, which has to be equal to P into 1 plus 2 upon 100 raised to 10. This is over for 5 years, and that same money is growing again by 10%. When something grows by 10%, it becomes 11 by 10. So into 11 by 10. Now this was the main step. If you had realized this step, then the sum was very easy. Because now this whole thing will cut over here, and we'll be left with only 2. Because this is say x raised to 12. On this side there is x raised to 10. So it will cut. Right? So we'll get what P we want to find. 22,000 into 10 by 11 into 102 upon 100 2 times. Use the calci. Don't try to be too smart. Just use your calculator. 4 zeros cut out. 3 plus 1, 4 zeros. All 4 zeros cut out. 11 ones are, 11 twos are. You're left with 102 square into 2. I am not using the calci for now. I am using one of the Vedic match approaches which we have taught you. 04104. 10404 into 2. That is 20808, which is the principal invested by Sunil. Again, not very simple, but not very difficult. Let's put it as category B. Let me know whether you thought this was a category B, but I think it was definitely category B. Let's have a look at the next question. A concept, a straightforward concept. This has been asked in CAT also last couple of years. We've been also talking about this so many times. I'm sure you've gone through this concept many times. Arvind travels from town A to town B and Surbhi travels from town B to town A. So let's take this example. Let's say this is A and B. Arvind is going from here. Surbhi is coming from here. Okay. After meeting each other, Arvind takes 6 hours to reach town B while Surbhi takes 24 hours, which means in short, Arvind was faster. So let's assume they meet somewhere over here at point P. After which Arvind takes 6 hours to reach A while Surbhi takes 24 hours to reach B. Now, what do we get further? Let's continue. What have they asked for? If Arvind traveled at a speed of 54 kilometers per hour. Okay. Question is the distance between A and B is how much? Now, how much time, if you notice what is the time taken for one journey, you can find that also. But most common concept people use over here is speed 1 upon speed 2 is root of T2 upon T1. Most of y'all would have started with this. I'm okay. Start with this. What will you get? Let's assume Arvind was S1. So 54, you don't know Surbhi's speed, S2. Time taken by Arvind is 6 hours and Surbhi is 24 hours. So 24 upon 6, which is 4 upon 1. Square root of that is 2 upon 1. So 54 upon S2 is 2 upon 1. Therefore, S2, that is Surbhi's speed, is 27. Now, we want to find the total distance. Let's do it separately for both of them. Arvind has traveled for 6 hours over here. So 6 into 54 plus Surbhi has traveled over here for 24 hours at her speed. 24 into 27. You can take 27 common. You could have taken 6 also common, but doesn't matter too much. 27 common. So you're left with 6 2s are 12 plus 24. So 27 into 36. Learn to use your calculators. Don't be too greedy. 27 6 is 162. 16 carry. 27 3 is 81. 81 plus 16. 81 plus 16 will be 97. And the total distance is 972. You could have also found time by Arvind completely for the journey and all that, but that's anything is okay. Again, because it was a straightforward concept, something which you should have done many times. I thought this question was easy. Definitely, according to me, again, a category A question. Let's have a look at the next question. The next question was again definitely a very difficult question, especially for all those commerce students who never thought of equation of a circle and never worried about those topics. Science students maybe still would have got it because, you've done this enough in your 12th standard. So let's have a look. Let C be the circle x square plus y square plus 4x minus 6y minus 3 is equal to 0. And L be the locus. This word itself was good enough to scare a lot of people. Of the point of intersection of a pair of tangents to C with the angle between the two tangents equal to 60 degrees. Then the point at which the locus touches the line x is equal to 6 is what? Too many variables, too many things. First thought, definitely the question is a C-level question. Let's have a look at how do we go about it. So this is a circle which I've taken. I've taken the center also as C. Two tangents making an angle of 60 degrees. Now, what is the locus? Basically, understand this point. Suppose if I consider this point as P. This point P could be anywhere. I could have tangents starting from here. I could have tangents starting from here or from here, anywhere. And that's the whole locus of point P. P could be anywhere on this, basically what we call as plane in geometry. It could be anywhere. And from there, we could draw two tangents. So from a point outside the circle, you can always draw two tangents. So I have taken this one as point P. Now, let's try and first get what we want to know. So I have drawn this. Let's call this as point A and join CP also. So I know this angle AP whatever, APB suppose is 60 degrees. Let's see what all can we find from this equation of the circle. Again, obviously you need to know properties of equation of a circle to get this properly. The center of the circle, that is point C, coordinates of point C will come from here. If this is 4 and minus 6, the center will be negative 2, 3. Direct property, again as I said, for the ones who have done this before, would know it very, very easily. Radius will be root of negative 2 square, which is 4. 3 square, which is 9, minus this part, that is minus 3. Again, all properties plus 3. So radius is root 16, which is 4. So the equation of the circle is normally taken as x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2hy plus f is equal to 0 or c is equal to 0. Okay, and then you use this, that 2g is 4, so g is 2, and the center is negative of that, or 2hx plus 2gy, that the alphabets can be here and there a little bit. The radius is 4, so we've got that much. Radius is 4, so this is 4. Now, do you agree that this will become a 30, 60, 90 triangle, because this angle will be 30, this angle is 90, tangent and radius, this angle will be 60. So I can easily find length CP. Length CP will be 8. Now, wherever P is, that will not matter. Length CP will be 8. Why 8? Because the hypotenuse we want, side opposite to 30 is 4. So hypotenuse will be 8, because side opposite to 30 is half of hypotenuse. So we got CP as 8. Now, let's see what do we know C is. C is negative 2, 3. What is P? Now, we don't know both the coordinates of P. We can't find both the coordinates. But look at this. Where the locus touches, x is equal to 6. And the options, all of them, the x coordinate is 6 only. So that is 6, y obviously. So simple distance formula, 6, y to minus 2, 3 is equal to 8. What is distance formula? Root of x2 minus x1. So what will be root of x2 minus x1? So 6 minus 2, 8, root x2 minus x1 the whole square, that will be root 8 square, plus y minus 3 the whole square is equal to 8. Root 8 square is 8. So this 8 and 8 will cut, so this will become 0. So y minus 3 the whole square is 0. So obviously we'll get y is equal to 3, and that becomes the first option. I don't expect most of the students to get it. Again, if you're a science student, you've done this too many times in 12th standard, you would definitely recollect, like muscle memory. You would have done so many questions of this type in 12th standard that like muscle memory, you should just recollect this and get it very easily, answer being the first option. Let's have a look at the next question. One more question from geometry. Again, not very simple. A quadrilateral ABCD is inscribed in a circle. So let's first get the diagram, first part, right? This is the quadrilateral inscribed in the circle where AB to CD is 2:1. That means if this is 2x, this is 1x, and BC to AD is 5:4. So if this is 5i, even though in the diagram it doesn't look, I will not sit and change the diagram. Now purposely when I made this diagram, I did not change it. I could have made BC look bigger than AD. But the thought process is to tell you that if you make a rough diagram in an exam situation, if BC does not look bigger than AD, don't sit to change it. Leave it as it is, 5:4. And the diagonals meet at point E. We need to find out what is AE to CE. AE, that is this part, to CE, that is this part. Okay, let's go about it. Now, how would I go about it? Obviously, similarity. Lot of things were there and ratios were asked. Now, this angle is equal to this angle. Angles inscribed in the same arc, circle, standard property, inscribe angle theorem. And this angle is equal to this angle, and obviously the vertically opposite angles. So these two triangles are similar. Let's get the exact similarity right, because without that, you're going to mess up the question. Triangle AEB similar to triangle DEC, right? AAA test. Ratios AE upon DE is EB upon EC is AB upon DC, right? Now, so what do I have? I know AE upon DE. AB upon DC I know is 2:1. So I know AE upon DE is also 2:1. So that means if this is 2, this is 1. I know it is not 2 and 1, but it's in the ratio 2. So I said if AE is 2, DE is 1. And it also says EB to EC is also 2:1. So, but that is again if this is 2, which is not 2. So I'm just not going to use this for now. I'll use CE from the other triangle. Leave it there as it is. This is 2 and this is 1. Now, let's try and get one more triangle similar. Same way, we will get this triangle and this triangle similar. Okay, this angle is equal to this angle and vertically opposite angle should be enough. So I've got triangle AED similar to triangle BEC. Write the ratio. We've got AE upon BE is ED upon EC. I definitely want EC in my question because that's what is asked in the question. Is equal to AD upon BC. AD upon BC is 4 upon 5. AD is 4 and BC is 5. So BC upon AD was 5 upon 4. So this is 4 upon 5. Right? Now pay attention, which means I have also got this is 4 upon 5. Now pay attention very carefully. I'm going to change the color of the marker just to make things slightly interesting. What does it mean? That if ED is 4, but ED was already 1, so I'm just going to write it in a different color. If ED is 4, then EC is 5. But if this becomes 4, that is if ED becomes 4, what will AE become? It will become 8 because this was in the ratio 1:2. So if this is 4, this will become 8. So I've got AE as 8 and EC as 5, and that is what I was asked. 8:5, second option. Now, lot of people could use some variables and use 2A, 1A and get it in terms of A, in terms of B and all that. I'm okay. But I just thought of this that, if I write it in a slightly different color, it will be easy to understand and still can be done easily. Answer being the second option. Not easy to think of the two similarities and then get the relationship right, was going to be slightly difficult. I would put it as a slightly difficult question of geometry. Let's have a look at the next question. In a right angle triangle ABC, the altitude AB is 5 and the base BC is 12. So it's a regular right angle triangle with altitude 5 and base as 12. P and Q are 2 points on BC such that area of triangle ABQ, ABP, ABQ and ABC are in arithmetic progression. Doesn't look very difficult. If the three areas are in arithmetic progression, because the height is constant for all of them, the base will also become an arithmetic progression. If the area of triangle ABC is 1.5 times area of triangle ABP. So let's do this right now only. We already know the area of triangle ABC. Half into 5 into 12, that is 30. Area of triangle ABC is 1.5 times area of triangle ABP. 30. This is 3 by 2. So it goes on the other side, becomes 2 by 3. Is area of triangle ABP. So this will become 20. 20 is half into AB and to BP. Now I'll just get where P is. Suppose P is somewhere over here. So this will be 5 into BP. Right? 5 ones are, 5 fours are. And therefore I've got BP is 8. They've asked for PQ. No problem. So I've got this as 8. Now, they had also told us, anyway, this area I got how much? This area I got 20. And the full area was how much? Full area was 40. Not 40, sorry, 30. So the other middle area will be 25. So see, this area is 20, ABP is 20. The full area is 30 and therefore ABQ's area will become 25. If you want to use 25, you can use 25 and find the areas are in AP. So the base will also be in AP. Remember that. So now 8, this whole thing is 12. 8, 2 and 2. So 8, 10 and 12. BP is 8. BQ is 10. And BC is 12. Because if the base is in AP, the areas will also come in AP because the height is constant. You can check the areas. This area had come how much? This area had come 20. This area was 30. And if you check for this area, it will come 25. 20, 25 and 30 are in AP. And hence PQ, which we wanted, would be 2 because BQ is 10. So 8, 10 and 12. And therefore PQ is 2, which is your answer. I thought this was not very difficult, maybe first thought in an exam pressure situation was slightly difficult to understand, but very frankly, this level of question for this test was not very difficult. Let's have a look at the next question. A slightly difficult question to interpret. Pay attention very carefully. For some positive and distinct real numbers x, y, and z, if 1 upon root y plus root z is the arithmetic mean of 1 upon root x plus root z and 1 upon root x plus 1 upon root y. So what is given exactly? Just let's write that down in arithmetic form. So it is given to us that 1 upon root x plus root z plus 1 upon root x plus root y divided by 2 is equal to 1 upon root y plus 1 z. So take 2 on top. So 2 upon root y plus root z. This is given to us, from which we have to figure out which of the following is always true. Okay, difficult to figure that out. What I have thought of was to rationalize each of them. If I rationalize each of them, what do I get? I would get in the numerator root x minus root z upon x minus z, root x minus root y upon x minus y, and 2 times root y minus root z upon y minus z. I hope everybody understood how to rationalize. That is multiplying by the conjugate. Now, I thought of the options. So, I thought that I will use either the first option or the fourth option. And the fourth option is a standard one, x, y, z and AP. So, I started using that. So, if x, y, z are in AP, x minus y and y minus z are same. X minus y and y minus z are same. And x minus z is double of that. So, if I consider, suppose x minus y as d. So, this is d, suppose. Again, just changing the color so to explain to you. Suppose if this was d, that means this is 2d and this is d. Now, if you try to solve it this way, you will realize that left hand side and right hand side will not come equal. That means if you cut this out and instead of this you put 2d, x minus z and x minus y you put d, and if you try to solve it, you will not get what you have on the right hand side. And therefore, the fourth option does not satisfy. So then what I did was I said, okay, let's go back and use the, I'll just erase this much first. So the fourth option is not satisfied. Now, I will use the first option. Obviously, answer can still be second and third also, but first I thought of let's use the first option. If y, x and z are in AP, then y minus x, if is d, but there is no y minus x, there is x minus y. That will be minus d. That means I'll take this as minus d. And x minus z is d. And y minus z would be 2d. Will it satisfy? Let's try. So, root x minus root z upon d. Take this minus over here, so this will become plus minus minus. Root x minus root y upon d. If I, d is the LCM, if I add these two, that is as it is, root x and minus root x will cut. I'll be left with root y minus root z upon d, right? D is the LCM, root x minus root z minus root x plus root y. So root x cut, root y minus root z. And the right side also, if I cut this 2 and 2, I get the same answer, which means this is satisfying. Answer is the first option. Let's be very frank, something very difficult to think of in an exam situation. You know, try to think of this and apply it exactly the way I had done it. Couple of times of, you know, trial and error, sitting with a couple of mentors, and we came out with this is the best approach. In an exam situation, would have been difficult. I would have tried with values, and I did try with values otherwise also, but doesn't seem to work out well, and hence this is the better method. Let's have a look at the next question. One of the easier questions on this test. Number of all natural numbers up to 1000 with non-repeating digits. Straightforward question. Single digit, one digit numbers. 1 to 9, all of them. So 9 numbers. 2 digit numbers. The first digit can be chosen in 9 ways because you cannot have a 0. So anything from 1 to 9 can be chosen. Whatever you chose in the first digit cannot be chosen again, but 0 can be chosen. So hence again 9 possibilities. So 81 2-digit numbers. Same logic for 3-digit numbers. First digit in 9 ways. Second digit in 9 ways. Third digit in 8 ways. That is 81 8s are 648. 9 plus more than 648 and answer ends in 8. Only one option, 738. make things faster, more than 648, so this is not your answer. Ending in 8, only one other option, 738, answer is the fourth option. I thought a very, very straightforward question of PNC and should have got it. Let's have a look at the next question. A lab experiment measures the number of organisms at 8 a.m. every day. Starting with 2 organisms on the first day, the number of organisms on any day is equal to 3 more than twice the number on the previous day. Now, which means if day 1 is 2 organisms, day 2 would be double of 2 plus 3, that is 7. Day 3 will be 14 plus 3, 17. Day 4 will be 17 to the 34 plus 3, 37. 77, 157, 157's double. That will be 314 plus 3, 317 or something like that. And so on. This is 5, 6, 7th day already. Now, after this, what I thought, that if I just double, I forget the plus 3, how much impact will it create in the question? Not too much. So after this, I thought of just doubling. So 7th day, I already have 317. I took it approximately as 320 and then thought, let me check when does it cross 1 million, that is 10 lakhs. So obviously 320 into 1000 is roughly how much? If I do 320 into 1000, that will be 3,200, 30,000, 3 lakh. And we know 1024 is a power of 2, 2 raised to 10. Let's get into an exact calculation if you want. 32 4s are 128, 12 carry. 32 2s are 64, 64 plus 12. Obviously, you are using the calculator. I am not using the calculator. 64 plus 12 is 76, 7 carry over. So 7 and 3. So this reaches 3,27,000 something something. That is already, I have done 7th day over here plus 10 more days. 17 days are gone. So this is 17th day. 18th day would be 6,55,000 something something. And 19th day would be 13 lakh something something. Now, the impact which I would get by adding 3 or whatever would not be too much. And that is what I thought. Anyway, it was a theta question. So it was worth taking a chance that n was 19th. On the 19th day, it will cross 1 million and that becomes your answer. Again, in an exam situation, difficult to think. Most of the people are trying to make a series over here and that series becomes very difficult. But to think up means even, very frankly, if I had to do this individually for 19 days on a calculator, 317 into 2 plus 3 and so on, so on, so on. If I had to keep doing this, it would not be very difficult. I would take maximum 3 minutes. In a test which is pretty difficult, it is worth getting a question definitely right. Because you have a calculator, you are allowed to check that and n would be 19. With that, we come to the end of this video, where we are doing CAT 23 slot 1 QA. As we said, CAT 23 quant has definitely got slightly difficult, not slightly, I would say, more difficult than last couple of years of CAT. So maybe you need to just buckle up for next year. All the students preparing for CAT 24 need to buckle up that much, start revising more of algebra and work harder.